TTRPGs, Pathfinder, Daggerheart, Ars Magica, Dungeons and Dragons, Discworld, something homebrewed, you pick your setting. But no matter where your story lives, coming up with a compelling pantheon or even just one interesting god is sometimes tough. Sure, you could just grab something straight from the rulebook, but sometimes that just doesn't cut it. As a storyteller, you're constantly crafting new ideas, weaving plot twists and building endgame level quests. You need to hook your players, give them a reason to care, and let's be real, it's a lot to handle. So why not get a little help and make it epic while you're at it? All you need is a little inspiration from history and mythology. I promise you will never ever run out of material. And who better to guide us through today's tale than the original writers of mythological soap operas? People who created hit shows like Olympus Unfiltered, The Meddling Muses, Olympus's Most Wanted. Let's turn to the Olympian Oversharers themselves, the ancient Greeks. Now, grab a tasty drink, settle in, hold on to your socks, and let me tell you a story that just might crack your next story wide open. Hello, all you wonderfully funky people, Funky Monkey here, and welcome to today's episode. This one's gonna be a little bit shorter, but trust me, it's loaded with world building goodies for your story toolkit. Oh, and stick around till the end if you wanna hear Mango's first title, it's worth it. Today we're diving into a slice of mythological gold by exploring one of the primordial gods of Greek mythology, Uranus, or if you wanna giggle, Uranus, the original sky deity and father of the Titans. Let's start with etymology. Uranus's name, according to linguists, traces its roots through the Indo-European language tree, starting way back in Sanskrit and Hittite, then evolving through Proto-Greek. There, it originally meant to rain, which makes Uranus the rainmaker or lord of the rain. Later on, he became known as the literal personification of the sky. Of course, the full evolution of his name is long and winding, but hey, this is, right here, the speedrun version. Because the ancient Greeks famously couldn't agree on anything, especially when it came to their own pantheon, Uranus got caught up in the same usual mythological mess. Just take a peek at the ancient sources. Hesiod and Homer say one thing, Apollodorus offers another thing, Plato goes off script entirely, and don't even get me started on Sappho. So, here are the main origin stories. One widespread legend names Uranus as the son of Ether, the personification of the bright upper sky. Another version has him born from the union of Nyx and Phanes, night, and the primordial being born from the cosmic egg, symbolizing light and goodness. Honestly, there's a lot to unpack here, and I could go on for hours about divine genealogy and the different origin stories, but I think these two captured the essence of Uranus's origin. According to the ancient poet Hesiod, after Gaia and Chaos did their thing, the first to be born was Uranus, followed by Aurea, the personification of mountains, and Pontus, the sea. Then, in classic Greek myth fashion, Uranus mated with Gaia. Yes, you heard that right. Ancient Greeks strike again. Gaia, his own mother. And, of course, she gives birth to children. 12, to be more precise. All Titans. Oceanus, the representation of the great ocean river. Coeus and Crius, two lesser-known Titans. Hyperion, the sun. Iapetus, ancestor of humanity. Theia, meaning vision. Rhea, the mother of gods. Themis, law and divine order. Mnemosyne, memory. Phoebe, associated with the moon. Tethys, linked to rivers. And Cronus, not Kronos, the god of time, but Cronus, the titan of harvests, and eventual daddy slayer. From later pairings come the Cyclops, Brontes, Steropes, and Arges, and eventually the Hecatokeires, the 100-handed ones, Cotus, Bries and Gyges. The revolt against Uranus. I had to do it. According to the legend, Uranus was born of Gaia, as mentioned before. But again, take a moment and digest it, and you'll reach the conclusion that it's not as bad as it sounds, although it's still bad. But Gaia was the personification of the world itself. So, from the world itself, Uranus was born, and alongside his mother and mate, he ruled for a very long time. Gaia birthed him so that he may cover her on all sides and protect their future children. And children they had, 18 of them, as I just mentioned. But for reasons lost to time, or maybe just bad parenting, Uranus, again I had to do it, Uranus hated his offspring. Instead of raising them, he hid them deep within Gaia, trapping them within the world itself. Understandably pissed off, Gaia crafted a sickle of, in one case adamantium, or in other stories out of flint, and called upon her children to rise against their father. All hesitated except for one, Cronus, the youngest of the Titans. With Gaia's guidance, Cronus set an ambush. As Uranus came to lie with Gaia, Cronus leapt from hiding and castrated him, flinging his father's testicles into the sea. This brutal act shattered Uranus's power and allowed Cronus to rise as the new ruler of the cosmos. Before retreating, Uranus cursed his children and named them Titans, meaning strainers, as in those who strain against fate, and prophesied that vengeance would come for Cronus sooner or later. From the spilled blood of Uranus were born the giants, the Erinyes, also known as the Furies, I have a video on them if you want to check it out, and the Meliae, the nymphs of the ash tree. And from the sea foam formed around his severed parts as they splashed into the sea, the goddess Aphrodite emerged, the goddess of beauty and desire. After his castration, Uranus mostly faded into the background, slipping into mythic obscurity. But every now and then, when fate needed a little push, the old sky god reappeared to stir the pot. Major moments? One of them was when Uranus and Gaia warned Cronus that one of his children would betray him, a prophecy that sent Cronus spiraling into paranoia, making him get rid of his children. Then, just to keep things spicy, Uranus turned right around and whispered to Rhea, "Hide Zeus." So she did, tucking the future king of the gods away in a cave on Mount Lictus on the Isle of Crete. That move sealed Cronus' fate. Another moment of intrigue was when Uranus dropped a little divine advice to Zeus. He said something along the lines of, "Swallow your first mate whole, Metis, or you'll end up just like your dad," or something along those lines. Zeus listened, sort of, and the rest is mythology. We'll get to it another time. And finally, we also have a moment captured on a frieze of a temple, showing Uranus in one last act throwing down during the Gigantomachy, aka the Giant Wars. Sky Daddy may be quiet, but he's never really out of the picture completely. As Zeus rose to become the star of Greek mythology, Uranus slipped further into the shadows. Mentioned mostly as Zeus's grandfather, and no longer played a role on the cosmic stage. Like most of the old guard, after the Titanomachy, or the Titan Wars, Titans were eventually locked away in the depths of Hades, only brought back briefly when agreeing to fight alongside the gods in the previously mentioned Gigantomachy. How old is this myth? Because it's a little bit weird when compared to, and shorter, when compared to more of the established Greek myths. Well, we don't really know how old it is, but one subtle clue to just how ancient this myth is lies in the weapon used by Cronus. The sickle Cronus used to castrate Uranus wasn't made of bronze or iron as you might expect from a myth coming from the Bronze Age. It was made either of adamantium or flint. That detail is very, very important. In the ancient world, rituals involving flint, bone or stone tools were among the oldest known and were very obscure, predating the age of metal by hundreds of years. So when you hear flint sickle, you're not just hearing a cool story detail, you're hearing echoes from the dawn of the myth itself. Now let's turn our attention to the Roman counterpart. As you probably know, the Romans basically hit copy-paste on the Greek pantheon and then slapped their own cultural flair on top. When Uranus went through his mythological makeover, he lost much of his personality and became something more abstract, the sky itself. With religion evolving in the later Greek and Roman worlds, Uranus was rebranded as Chelus by the Romans. The Romans picked one version of his origin story and ran with it. Chelus as the son of Ether, upper sky, and Dees. This is their personal twist. Basically, he was the son of the upper air and daylight, representing the lit up daytime sky. And in true mythological fashion, of course he mated with his mother, Dees, and together they parented Mercury. I think the Romans just really wanted to keep this incest part of the story in. I don't know. Later, Chelus also mated with Trivia and fathered Janus, the god of beginnings, thresholds, gates, duality and time. Janus would go on to become one of the most important deities in the Roman pantheon, and I'll do a video on him soon enough. The Roman writer Varro often pairs Chelus with Terra in a very classic Greek move. The earth and the sky as divine parents, Magni Dei, the great gods of creation. But, as was Roman tradition, Chelus was eventually absorbed into the persona of Jupiter or Jupiter, and like his Greek counterpart, he slowly faded from active worship. However, as the empire expanded and began assimilating gods from other cultures, Chelus saw a brief comeback, especially in association with the Roman god Mithra. Now, how to use this in your world building? Well, to be honest, I see that there are a couple of cool ways you can bring Uranus or his spiritual equivalent into your world. First, you can use him as the centerpiece of a creation myth tied to an ancient, long-forgotten god whose followers are making a comeback. Maybe it's a doomsday cult, and maybe that god is the final BBEG, the real puppet master behind your story's chaos. Or maybe this god was once defeated in a massive war against younger gods, and the weapon used to bring him down could be a legendary artifact lost to time waiting to be found by your main characters. And the only way to find this weapon is to learn the full story and retrace the steps of his victors. And maybe it's the only thing that can stop a rising god tyrant. There's really no wrong way to play with a myth like this. Shape it, twist it, bend it to your will, breathe new life into it. The only limit is your imagination. Now, one last order of business. Last time you found out what Mango's full name is. Today you will learn her first title, Lady of the Gentle Clouds. Make sure you remember it. Don't give me that look. Don't your furry friends have names and titles? They should. What's wrong with you? Remember her title. Now, if you enjoyed this ride, make sure you hit that subscribe button and become part of this wonderfully funky community. Smash that like to let me know this video gave you some inspiration, and make sure you ring that bell so you don't miss the next myth-packed, world building fueled episode. And hey, drop a comment down below, even if it's just to say hi, or even write Mango's title in. I have an idea. If you manage by the end of the next few episodes, write down her name and all of her titles in order, you will get to have a say in a future episode. What do you say? I'd love to hear from you on that idea. Drop a comment. Tell me what you think. Thank you so much for the privilege of your time. I truly hope you found a spark of inspiration and maybe even learned something new today. And I can't wait to see you all funky people here next time on Funky Monkey MP, a place where you get your dose of history, world building and trivia. Remember, be curious, take inspiration from the past, and never ever stop learning, building and creating incredible things, whatever shape those take. Your mind and imagination are brilliant, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Until next time, have yourselves a wonderful, wonderful funky day. Cheers.